We've got marigolds growing in our basement, and it's time to put them into larger pots. And so the first thing we have to do is mix up some soil. So we've been using a beautiful soil mix this year. We're trying coir as a base rather than peat. And so we put about 1 scoop of dry coir and a liter of water and ended up with about, I'd say, 4 liters of coir. And so we're going to put equal parts. So this is the coir, maybe 3 scoops of vermiculite, and we'll see how that feels. When it comes to mixing up a potting mix or a soil, you do it more by how it feels. You want it to drain well. You want the plants to have some nutrition. In my opinion, that's going to drain really well and it feels really nice. And we still have more to add. The first thing we'll add is some mold dirt that we've been collecting. What happens is the moles go through the garden, eat up the roots, aerate the soil, bring up nutrients. So it's quite nice soil. And then the last thing we'll add is mostly for nutrition. It's some beautiful, well-rotted cow manure from the bottom of our manure pile, and it's rich, full of nutrition, and beautiful, and mostly just rich. It crumbles very nicely. You can see it has a few roots in it. I'm not worried about that. The marigolds are very, very vigorous. So I'll add a couple of scoops. That will equal maybe 1/4 of the mixture. And then a good mix, and the soil will be ready. If there are any lumps, you just squeeze them out so that it's a fairly even mix. And then what we put our transplants into before they're ready to go out into the soil is newspaper pots. They're an origami newspaper pot, really easy to make, super versatile, and wonderful to plant into, because you can put the pot right into your garden. And when you have them in the house, because a marigold can't stand to be outside, you can tell how dry the soil is. It'll pull away from the paper, and you'll be able to feel from the outside how damp it is. So we will mostly fill the newspaper pot. I don't really want to spill, so possibly I should do it this way. Fill up 3, and then we'll take the marigolds apart. The marigolds are really, really beautiful to work with because, like tomatoes, they'll grow roots from their stem, so you can plant them quite deeply. And once we're past any risk of frost, they're really, really vigorous. So we're just gonna, I might dump this out over the pot also. Easier said than done. Oh, there they go. So they've got considerable roots. They are ready to have more space. What happened was our seeds were quite old, so we planted them fairly thickly, thinking that not everything would germinate, but it looks to me like they really have. And they've got just a beautiful root system. So make room and put it in as deeply as is practical. That was a pretty substantial root system, so they might need more room, before too long. And we just picked up some compostable bags, and they are also a beautiful thing to use for transplanting. So they're these paper bags, and they're compostable. They probably hold, it's got to be a couple of liters of soil themselves. So once these start to look like they would like more nutrition, more room, we'll fill the bag with dirt, and then they'll have more room to grow before they go out, because we usually get a fairly late frost here, although every year is different. And then you just fill up the rest of the pot. And the last thing to do is to water it, and possibly we'll be able to see. I'll turn it to the thin side. When you water them, you can tell on the pot where your water's gone. Then they'll have to sit in the windows in the house until it warms up here a bit, which is going to be probably another month. So in another month, you can feel the dampness. Anyway, that's what we do with our transplant, and we do have YouTube videos of making newspaper pots if anybody wants to make them for themselves.